How do you feel about the pharmaceutical industry and advertising?
I think that should be the first thing that's eliminated,
Yeah.
to be honest. Because what that happens.
We're one of 2 countries in the entire world. That's crazy by itself. Like there's 200 countries and only us in New Zealand they're allowed to have pharmaceutical.
So that tells you the power of the lobbying and the power of the pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
But what that does is it captures another industry, which is the media.
Yes. Yes. Because they're bought and paid for.
Who's going to be looking into, whether this particular treatment or vaccination or whatever is safe and effective if every other ad is paid by the company?
Seriously.
That you want to ask that question to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, like I said, no love lost for journalists. I mean, journalists not doing their job.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Correct. Yeah.
They're doing the job to just keep their job. They're doing a journalism job.
They're doing the job that they're got hired to do, but it's not actual journalism anymore, unfortunately, which is, again, that's why it's so strange to me that podcasters and really just any non-traditional media has been vilified for that. And it's like, well, somebody's got to be doing the work. Like somebody's got to be providing access to information that's not handed down from somebody who's profiting off of the very information that they're spreading.
A talking point or a soundbite or whatever. Let's get into the deep conversation. Let's get into the research.
Yeah. Well, you hear, even when I forget his name, the chief medical correspondent at CNN went on Rogan. Probably, what was it?
Gupta?
Yes. Sanjay Gupta. Yep. He went on there and Rogan just straight up asked him about it wasn't hydroxychloroquine, it was the other one, ivermectin. He straight up asked him, he's like, but you know that it's not what they were reporting it to be when I said I was taking it, right? And he was, of course, trying to dodge the question. And it was just like, it's so obvious. Like, and even the guy, like, you're the chief medical, like, this is your job to provide accurate information about the medical industry to your organization. And
calling it a horse dewormer and all that.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's objectively insane when it's something that's, I had never heard of it, obviously pre-COVID, because I'm not in the medical field, but apparently it's a really widely used
Absolutely. Thing. And so like we use hydroxychloroquine often for patients who have inflammatory conditions of the scalp. And this is something in dermatology we've been using for many, many, many years. It's not just a malaria drug or whatever.
Yeah.
But during the pandemic, I mean, I'm a member of many WhatsApp groups, International Society of Hair Restoration Surgery. And of course, as this was kind of spreading all throughout in the early part of 2020, I'm seeing what's going on these WhatsApp groups. They're saying, hey, our local ER, urgent care, whatever, whether they be in India or some other, location in Italy, they're telling us what's happening kind of in real time. I wouldn't say it's like, it's not like X or Twitter.
Sure.
But basically it's a way where, groups of 1,000 physicians are telling us what's happening. We saw this many patients. This is what was treated. Or a friend of mine had this, that, and the other thing going on. Here's a picture of what happened. No, there's no body bags here. Yes, there are body bags there. I'm seeing all this in real time. And they're talking. And remember, most of these countries, they have access to these very inexpensive drugs that have been approved for other things for many, many years that they use routinely.
Right.
So ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, they're talking about these protocols. Here's the protocol that worked in the last 10 patients. And if you see that protocol, somebody says, oh, I tried your protocol and it worked. You start to get a sense, a signal out of the noise pops out.
Yeah, well, that's enough data. That's enough data. 1,000 data points.
If you're watching it, right? If you're watching it, just like, Elon says, well, he could tell when the algorithm changed and people were getting shadow banned on Twitter because he was a prolific user of it. Well, during the pandemic, what else are we going to do? I'm watching the WhatsApp group, seeing what's happening. It was a way we got information.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of noise, but there was signal in there too.
Sure. But
big time.
That's how it should work. Right. It's like there's a lot of noise, but in the noise you find truth. And that's how truth comes forward. That's how it rises to the top.